When cash stops meaning anything, when the banks lock their doors and the ATMs go silent, there's still one kind of trade that never dies: barter. Because no matter how advanced society gets, we always go back to basics when the system breaks. You don't need $1 million stockpile or a vault full of coins. You just need to think smarter than the crowd. So while everyone's panic buying the wrong things, you'll be sitting on the real currency of survival: small, practical, everyday items that suddenly mean everything. So let's get into it. 15 everyday items you can grab right now while they're still cheap that might just save your life when the world stops running on cash. Let's be honest. Inflation, global instability, and fragile supply chains have already given us a preview of what's coming. You don't need a crystal ball to see how fast things fall apart when logistics fail. One factory shuts down, one cyber attack hits the wrong grid, and suddenly prices double overnight. That's when barter makes a comeback, not because people want it, but because they have to. When nobody trusts the currency, when trucks stop moving, and when Amazon stops delivering, trade goes primitive again. Food for fuel, tools for medicine, comfort for comfort. And here's where most people get it wrong. They think barter means big-ticket gear or gold coins. But real survivors know it's the small, practical, high-demand items that carry the most value. You can't split a gold bar for a roll of toilet paper, but you can trade a lighter, a roll of duct tape, or a pack of coffee for something far more useful. So as we go through this list, think less about what looks valuable and more about what stays valuable when shelves are empty and systems are down. These 15 items aren't hype. They've proven themselves through every major crisis, from hurricanes to hyperinflation. And when it happens again, you'll see people scrambling for the very things you already stocked. Ready? Let's start with one of the most underrated forms of currency in any collapse: fire. Item number 15, lighters and waterproof matches. Fire is one of those things people take for granted until they lose it. Flip a switch, push a button, and boom, instant heat, light, and comfort. But when that switch doesn't work anymore, fire becomes gold. That's why lighters and waterproof matches are absolute barter royalty after a collapse. They're cheap, lightweight, easy to store, and every single one solves an immediate problem: starting a fire for warmth, cooking, or disinfecting water. Here's what makes them genius. You can buy a whole pack of BICs for the price of a single fancy coffee. Toss them in a bin, forget about them, and when disaster hits, each one becomes a mini trade item worth 10 times what you paid. Preppers know it's not just about having fire, it's about being the person who can give fire when no one else can. That's instant leverage. Waterproof matches are another sleeper hit. When the weather turns ugly or humidity ruins everything else, they still spark. They're great to bundle in small barter bags. A lighter plus a few waterproof matchboxes can trade for food, tools, or even fuel. And because they're so small, you can store hundreds without taking up any space. Want to take it further? Store them in vacuum-sealed bags or tin containers. Add cotton balls soaked in petroleum jelly as mini fire starters. It's a low-cost prep that suddenly makes you everyone's best friend when the cold hits. In the end, the ability to create fire is power. And power is what everyone will be desperate to trade for. Item number 14, sewing kits and needles. You don't realize how fragile modern life is until a tear in your jacket means a night of freezing cold. Sewing kits and needles might sound old school, but in a world where replacement clothes stop showing up at stores, the ability to repair becomes a lifeline. And it's not just about clothes. A needle and thread can literally save your life. Think about it. Fast fashion is built on global supply chains. When those break, so does access to affordable clothing. That's why sewing kits are fantastic barter items. They're tiny, cheap, and timeless. A small tin with a few needles, a spool of strong thread, and some fabric patches can trade for food, batteries, or fuel. Smart preppers buy bulk packs of sewing needles in various sizes, heavy-duty ones for canvas and leather, fine ones for fabric repairs. Pair them with strong nylon or waxed thread and small scissors. You can even pre-package mini repair kits for barter, wrap thread around a needle, toss in a button or two, and seal it. It's a quiet skill that becomes priceless in a world without Amazon. When everything else breaks down, the people who can fix, not replace, will rule the barter table. So whether it's for patching gear or earning goodwill, a sewing kit is one of the most underrated and high-value barter tools you can store. Item number 13, duct tape and multi-purpose tape. If you could only choose one item to patch, fix, seal, or save something in a crisis, it would be duct tape. This stuff is a miracle on a roll. It fixes tents, seals leaks, patches shoes, holds tools together, even doubles as an emergency bandage when you're desperate. And that's exactly why, in a collapse, it becomes an instant trade item. People underestimate how fast small repairs turn into big problems. A torn tarp means lost warmth. A cracked container leaks water. A ripped shoe slows you down. Duct tape becomes the universal fix, something everyone wants and almost no one has enough of. And it's not just the gray stuff anymore. Multi-purpose tapes like Gorilla Tape, waterproof sealing tape, and even electrical tape are equally valuable. They're small, lightweight, and last for years in storage. You can cut rolls into smaller sections and trade partial rolls easily because everyone needs some, but not everyone can afford a whole one. Here's the trick. Store it in a cool, dry place and rotate older rolls every couple of years to keep the adhesive fresh. Buy contractor-grade rolls when you can. They stick longer and handle temperature swings better. When chaos hits, the difference between broken and working often comes down to tape. It's simple, reliable, and universal, which is why duct tape isn't just a household tool. And when things start falling apart, literally, everyone will come looking for the person who still has some left. Item number 12, Paracord and strong cordage. If you talk to any seasoned prepper or survivalist, they'll tell you, Paracord is practically currency. It's one of those simple, low-cost items that transforms into 100 different tools depending on what you need. It's rope, fishing line, shoelace, tourniquet, shelter tie-down, gear strap, and in a collapse, it becomes something even more valuable: versatility. Paracord is built tough, originally used in parachutes during World War II, and it's designed to hold serious weight while staying light and compact. That's what makes it the perfect barter item. You can coil 50 or 100 feet into a small bundle and trade it easily, or cut it into sections and barter in smaller chunks for food, batteries, or first aid supplies. It's one of those items that feels basic now, but becomes priceless when something breaks, falls, or tears. Strong cordage in general, like jute twine, nylon rope, or even clothesline, falls into the same category. Most people don't think to store it because it's not flashy, but try setting up a tarp, securing gear to a cart, or hanging clothes without it. You'll see how vital it becomes. In an emergency barter market, the person with rope controls movement, shelter, and stability. The best part? Paracord lasts for decades if stored properly, dry, and away from sunlight. You can buy 1,000-foot spools for cheap now, and when disaster hits, that spool becomes a gold mine. Every prepper who's done this long enough knows one thing. It's not the big gear that saves you, it's the small, dependable stuff that never lets you down. Paracord is exactly that. Small, strong, and endlessly useful. And when everyone's trying to tie their world back together, you'll be the one holding all the strings. Item number 11, basic first aid supplies. Forget the high-end medical gear. In a real collapse, it's the basics that vanish first. Bandages, gauze, antiseptic ointment, alcohol pads, also known as the simple stuff that stops infection, seals wounds, and keeps minor injuries from turning deadly. These are the real first aid gold mines in any barter system. People underestimate how fast medical supplies run out. Once hospitals are overwhelmed or pharmacies close, even a small cut becomes dangerous. That's where a clean bandage suddenly becomes worth a meal. Preppers who stock up on bulk first aid kits, not just for themselves, but to trade, end up controlling one of the most sought-after resources after water and food: hygiene and health. Here's the beauty of it. These items are cheap right now. You can pick up generic boxes of gauze, rolls of medical tape, and antibiotic ointments for pennies compared to their post-collapse value. Bundle a few essentials like 2 bandages, 1 packet of ointment, and an alcohol pad into small zip bags. Those become instant trade kits that people will beg for once supply chains collapse. It's also one of the safest barter items because, unlike trading meds, you're not risking legal gray areas or dosage issues. Everyone understands the value of a clean bandage. And the best part? They don't expire fast if stored right. Dry, cool, and sealed. Item number 10, survival candles and emergency wax. When the lights go out, panic sets in. That's why survival candles and emergency wax are brilliant barter items. They're cheap, simple, and endlessly useful. And when the grid fails, they become the difference between comfort and chaos. Survival candles burn longer than regular ones, often for hours or even days depending on the size. They don't rely on electricity, and they don't spoil, meaning you can store them for years without worrying. In a blackout, a single candle lights a room, keeps spirits steady, and even provides a bit of warmth. And unlike batteries or fuel, candles are silent and perfect for staying off the radar when you don't want attention. Wax, on the other hand, is the secret hero. Blocks of wax can be melted to make new candles, waterproof gear, seal containers, and even lubricate tools or zippers. A small tin of wax is incredibly barter-worthy because it can be turned into light, heat, or repairs. That's 3 forms of survival in one. Here's the best part. These items are still dirt cheap. You can buy them in bulk now for a few dollars, but after a widespread blackout or fuel shortage, a single candle could trade for food or medicine. People underestimate how deeply we rely on light until they lose it. So grab survival candles, wax tins, and a few matches or wicks. Store them together in airtight containers. When darkness hits, everyone else will stumble, and you'll be the one handing out light as currency. Item number 9. Water purification tablets / bleach. When everything else falls apart, water is what determines who makes it and who doesn't. You can survive weeks without food, but only a few days without clean water. That's why water purification tablets or small bottles of unscented bleach instantly become top-tier barter gold in any collapse. They're cheap, light, and take up almost no space, yet they solve one of the most universal survival problems: making water drinkable. When people realize rivers, wells, and rain barrels are full of bacteria and parasites, the value of something that can purify a gallon with a single tablet skyrockets. Bleach, too, is a hidden gem. A single capful can sanitize tools, disinfect wounds in extreme cases, and even clean contaminated surfaces during disease outbreaks. It's also a morale item. Having clean drinking water means security, calm, and control when everything else feels chaotic. Now here is a stock tip. Store them airtight and away from sunlight. Tablets have long shelf lives, and bleach, if sealed, can last over a year. In a world where bottled water becomes luxury, the person holding purification gear becomes the most valuable person around. When the taps run dry, remember, it won't be gold people are begging for, it'll be drinkable water. Item number 8, solar chargers and small panels. In the modern world, power is everything. Flashlights, radios, phones, GPS all become dead weight once the batteries die. That's why small solar panels and portable chargers are among the smartest barter items you can stash. They're affordable today, but in a blackout world, they're like printing your own electricity. Imagine you've got a solar charger the size of a tablet, enough to power a flashlight, a walkie-talkie, or even a phone. That's not just convenience, that's independence. People will trade almost anything to stay connected or to light up the dark for just one more night. The best part? Solar doesn't run out. You can use it again and again, making it a sustainable barter source, something you can trade repeatedly without losing your own supply. You don't even need to stock expensive gear. Basic USB solar panels and power banks can charge a ton of devices and hold serious value once the grid collapses. Compact solar lanterns, small power stations, and even DIY kits will be worth their weight in silver. Item number 7, strong gloves. It's funny, most people don't think of gloves as a survival essential, but in any real collapse, they become a daily necessity. Imagine chopping wood, moving debris, fixing gear, handling metal, or even scavenging supplies. Your hands will take a beating fast. And when you injure them, everything gets harder. That's why tough, durable gloves, the kind mechanics, welders, or outdoor workers use, become a premium barter item. In a world without Amazon or hardware stores, a single good pair can save someone's hands. Literally. They're light, cheap, and easy to store. Yet their function is irreplaceable. They protect from cuts, burns, and infections, and they make hard labor possible. And since they wear out with use, there's a constant demand, meaning you can keep trading them for other essentials long term. Leather gloves, nitrile-coated grip gloves, or heavy-duty work pairs all have value. Even simple gardening gloves will trade well. Think about it. People will trade food or tools for gloves once their hands start blistering. The person who can still work comfortably will outlast the one who can't. Item number 6, safety and reflective gear. When everything goes dark, and I mean really dark, you start to realize how much we take light for granted. No street lights, no phone flashlights, no glowing billboards in the distance, just pitch black. You can't see your own hand, can't tell where the road ends, and every step suddenly feels like a gamble. In that kind of world, a simple strip of reflective tape could literally save your life. Here's the thing, safety gear is dirt cheap right now. You can grab reflective vests, glow sticks, and armbands from any hardware store for a few bucks. Most people walk right past them. But in a blackout world, they'll trade like gold. Because when you're moving through wreck streets, forests, or makeshift camps, being visible can be the difference between getting help and getting hurt. Think about it. Rescue teams, night patrols, scavengers, even families trying to stay together in the dark, everyone needs visibility. A little reflective patch or glow strip lets people find you, follow you, or signal from a distance. And glow sticks? They're not just for kids or raves anymore. They can mark safe paths, light up rooms, or calm someone's nerves when the darkness feels endless. Now here's the twist. Sometimes you don't want to be seen. Maybe you're moving quietly at night or trying to stay off someone's radar. That's why it's smart to have removable or attachable reflective gear. Turn visibility on or off when you need it. Flexibility becomes your best defense. What makes this stuff so great is that it doesn't expire, it doesn't take up space, and it works every single time. No batteries, no maintenance, just pure practicality. You can buy a box of glow sticks and rolls of tape right now for less than what people will trade food for later. Item number 5, notebooks and pencils. It sounds almost too simple, right? A notebook and a pencil. In a world where everyone's glued to phones and tablets, it feels outdated. But when the power's gone, Wi-Fi's dead, and your fancy gadgets are nothing but paperweights, that old-school pencil suddenly becomes high-tech again. Think about it. No batteries, no screens, no charging cables, just graphite, paper, and reliability. You can jot down anything. Barter lists, survival plans, recipes, maps, journal entries, even messages for other survivors. When communication goes down, the written word becomes your backup system. And here's something most people forget. Ink pens dry up, but pencils don't. You can sharpen one 100 times, and it'll still work in the cold, the rain, even when you drop it in the dirt. Plus, notebooks, especially waterproof ones, become your memory vaults. You can track supplies, record what you trade, note medical info, or write reminders when your brain's running on fumes. And imagine how valuable that becomes for trade. Someone rebuilding a small community will need a way to keep track of rations or agreements. A medic will need notes. A parent will want something for their kids to draw on, just to give them a sense of normal. You'll be surprised how something as small as a pencil can make people feel human again. You can buy a box of pencils for a few bucks and split them into trade packs, 3 pencils, and a small notebook per bundle. That's dozens of barter items right there, all from something that barely weighs a pound. Item number 4, feminine hygiene supplies. This one is often overlooked by rookie preppers, but ask anyone who's been through a disaster zone, and they'll tell you feminine hygiene products are some of the most sought-after barter items, period. Pads, tampons, and menstrual cups don't just serve a critical need. They provide dignity, comfort, and sanitation when everything else feels filthy and unsafe. They're also versatile. Pads can double as makeshift bandages, absorbent wipes, or even water filters in a pinch. Their value spikes during crises because they're not easily replaced. Unlike food or fuel, these items aren't something you can just make from scratch. Once the stores are empty, the supply is gone, and desperation sets in fast. Women and families will trade heavily for them, and even men who plan ahead will hold major barter power just by keeping extras. The best part? They're lightweight, compact, and affordable. A single box can be split into multiple trades. Menstrual cups and reusable pads have long-term barter potential too. They're durable, cleanable, and sustainable. When society collapses, hygiene becomes one of the first things people lose control over, and with that comes disease, infection, and despair. Having something that provides comfort and cleanliness gives real power in trade. Bottom line, if you're serious about prepping, don't overlook what half the population absolutely can't go without. Stocking these isn't awkward, it's intelligent. Item number 3, fishing line and hooks. If there's one thing that never goes out of style in survival, it's food. And fishing is nature's simplest protein supply chain. A spool of fishing line and a handful of hooks can feed someone for months. They're tiny, lightweight, cheap, and can literally turn a puddle, river, or lake into a meal ticket. After a collapse, hunting gets risky. Ammo runs out, animals scatter, and noise gives away your position. But fishing? It's quiet, renewable, and requires minimal energy. That's why fishing line and hooks have always been high-value barter items in every crisis, from war zones to island shipwrecks. Even people who don't fish will trade for them because everyone wants the ability to. A 100-meter line can be divided into smaller rolls for trade, and hooks are naturally divisible. You can barter a few at a time. They're not just for food either. Fishing line is multi-purpose. It's great for stitching, repairing gear, hanging traps, or tying down shelter materials. Stock different sizes, fine lines for small fish, heavier ones for survival rigs, and store them dry in sealed bags. In a trade scenario, they'll go fast. Imagine someone offering you batteries or canned goods for a few hooks and some line. That's real leverage. Item number 2, salt and seasoning packets. Salt has started wars, built empires, and fueled economies for centuries, and in a collapse, it'll do it again. Why? Because it's not just a flavor enhancer. Salt preserves meat, cures hides, balances electrolytes, and prevents cramping or dehydration. Without it, you can't store food long-term or keep your body functioning properly. Seasoning packets, think pepper, chili flakes, bouillon cubes, soy sauce, transform bland stored food into morale-saving meals. A dash of spice can make the difference between tolerating your food and actually wanting to eat it, and that kind of comfort becomes priceless. The best part? Salt and spices are dirt cheap right now. You can buy bulk salt or grab condiment packets from restaurants. They last forever if stored dry. They don't spoil, take up little space, and weigh next to nothing. In trade, they're incredibly flexible. You can swap small amounts for small favors or bundle them for bigger trades. When shelves are empty and taste disappears, people will pay well for the return of flavor and preservation. Salt, in particular, will become worth its weight in silver. Item number 1, tobacco and chewing materials. Love it or hate it, tobacco has always been one of the most reliable currencies in human history. From wartime trenches to prison economies, people have traded cigarettes, cigars, and chewing tobacco when actual money meant nothing. And it's not because everyone smokes, it's because people want comfort, habit, and familiarity when the world burns. Tobacco and similar items like herbal chew, rolling paper, or even coffee pouches carry psychological value. They calm nerves, relieve stress, and provide a momentary escape in chaos. That's why even non-smokers stock them, for barter leverage. In a collapse, you'll see smokers go from casual users to desperate traders. A single pack of cigarettes might fetch you a can of food, a gallon of fuel, or even protection. The smaller the item, the easier it is to trade, and few things divide so neatly into individual high-value pieces. Chewing tobacco, pipe blends, or nicotine gum are even better. They store longer and don't need fire to use. Keep them vacuum sealed, cool, and dry. You'll be sitting on a high-demand, high-margin commodity when the vices return to power. In every economy, legal or black market, comfort sells. And when comfort disappears, demand explodes. You don't have to use it yourself to profit from it, just understand its psychology. These 15 items may look cheap now, but in a collapse, they'll trade like gold. Don't hoard cash. Stock what people will need, not what they'll remember. Now this is where we leave it to you guys. Which one caught you off guard? Got a secret barter item of your own? Drop it in the comments and we might feature the best answers in the upcoming videos. Hit like, share it with your prepping circle, and subscribe because next time there is something even better coming up in the lineup that you wouldn't want to miss out on.